It's 4:40 a.m. March 29th, which makes it technically March 30, but I've been procrastinating and I've been slacking. So it's technically March 30th, but I haven't slept yet, so it still counts as March 29th. But I left off where Mike was having a good time, and Devin and Annie were also getting closer together, kissing and everything. But yeah, that's where I left off. Um, That damn stuffed dog was almost as big as he was. You tried, Mom. No, that's okay, she said. But I thought she wanted to. It was something in her eyes as she measured the distance between the jump board and the targets. Please? He looked first at me, then at Lane. She's really good. She won the prone shooting tournament at Camp Perry before I was born and came in second twice. Camp Perry's in Ohio. I don't. Lane was already holding out one of the modified .22s. Step right up. Let's see your best Annie Oakley, Annie. She took the rifle and examined it in a way few of the conies ever did. How many shots? 10 a chip, 10 a clip. Fred said, if I'm going to do this, can I shoot 2 clips? As many as you want, man. Today's your day. Mom used to also shoot ski with my grandpa. Mike told him. Annie raised a .22 and squeezed off 10 shots with a pause of perhaps 2 seconds between each. She knocked over 2 moving ducks and 3 of the moving bunnies. The teensy ceramic chicks she ignored completely. A crack shot. Fred crowd. Any prize on the middle shelf? Your pick. She smiled. 50% isn't anywhere near crack. My dad would have covered his face. For shame. I'll just take the reload, if that's okay. Fred took a paper cone from under the counter, a wee shot in the talk, and put the small end into a hole on top of the gag rifle. There was a rattle as another 10 BBs rolled in. Are the sights on these trigged? She asked Fred. No, ma'am. All the games at JOYLAND are straight, but if I told you Pop Allen, the man who usually runs this shy, spent long hours sighting them in, I'd be a liar. Having worked on Pop's team, I knew that was disingenuous, to say the least. Sighting in the rifles was the last thing Pop would do. The better the Rube shot, the more prizes Pop had to give away, and he had to buy his own prizes. All the shy bosses did. There were cheap goods, but not free goods. Shoots left and high, she said, more to herself than to us. Then she raised the rifle, socked it into the hollow of her right shoulder, and triggered off 10 rounds. This time, there was no discernible pause between shots, and she didn't bother with the ducks and bunnies. She aimed for the ceramic chicks and exploded 8 of them. As she put the gun back on the counter, Lane used his bandana to wipe a smudge of sweat and grime from the back of his neck. He spoke very softly as he did this short. Jesus, Horatio Christ. Nobody gets 8 peeps. I only nicked the last one, and at this range, I should have had them all. She wasn't boasting, just stating a fact, Mike said, almost apologetically. Told you she was good. He curled a fist over his mouth and cuffed into it. She was thinking about the Olympics. Only then she dropped out of college. You really are Annie Oakley, Lane said, stuffing his bandana back into a real pocket. Any prize, pretty lady, you pick. I already have my prize, she said. This has been a wonderful, wonderful day. I can never thank you guys enough. She turned in my direction, and this guy, who actually had to talk me into it because I'm a fool. She kissed the top of Mike's head, but now I better get my boy home. Where's Milo? We looked around and saw him halfway down JOYLAND Avenue, sitting in front of our house with his tail curled around his paws. Milo, come, and he called. His ears prickled up, but he didn't come. He didn't even turn in her direction, just stared at the facade of JOYLAND's only dark ride. I could almost believe he was reading the drippy, cobweb festooned invitation. Come in if you dare. While Annie was looking at Milo, I stole a glance at Mike. Although he was all but done in from the excitement of the day, his expression was hard to mistake. It was satisfaction. I know it's crazy to think he and his Jack Russell had worked this out in advance, but I did think it. I still do. Roll me down there, Mom, Mike said. He'll come with me. No need for that, Lane said. If you got a leash, I'm happy to go get him. It's in his pocket. It's in the pocket on the back of Mike's wheelchair. And he said, probably not, Mike said. You can check, but I'm pretty sure I forgot it. And he checked while I thought. In a pig's ass you forgot. Oh, Mike. And he said reproachfully, your dog, your responsibility. How many times have I told you? Sorry, Mom, to Fred and Lane, he said. Only we hardly ever use it because Milo always comes, except when we need him to. Annie cupped her hands around her mouth. Milo, come on, time to go home. Then, in a much sweeter voice, biscuit, Milo, come get a biscuit. Her coaxing tone would have brought me on the run, probably with my tongue hanging out, but Milo didn't budge. Come on, Dev, Mike said, as if I were also in on the plan, but had missed my cue somehow. I grabbed the wheelchair's handles and rolled Mike down JOYLAND Avenue toward the funhouse. Annie followed. Fred and Lane stayed where they were, Lane leaning on a chump board among the laid out pup guns on their chains. He had removed his derby and was spinning it on one finger. When we got to the dog, Annie regarded him crossly. What's wrong with you, Milo? Milo thumped his tail at the sound of Annie's voice, but didn't look at her, nor did he move. He was on guard and intended to stay that way unless he was hauled away. Michael, please, make your dog heal so we can go home. You need to get some. Two things happened before she could finish. I'm not exactly sure of the sequence. I've gone over it often in the years since then, most often on nights when I can't sleep, and I'm still not sure. I think the rumble came first, the sound of a ride car starting to roll along its track, but it might have been the padlock dropping. It's even possible that both things happened at the same time. The big American Master fell off the double doors below the horror house facade and lay on the boards, gleaming in the October sunshine. Fred Dean said later that the shackle must not have been pushed firmly into the locking mechanism, and the vibration of the moving car caused it to open all the way. This made perfect sense because the shackle was indeed open when I checked it. Still bullshit though. I put that padlock on myself and remember the click as the shackle clicked into place. I even remember tugging on it to make sure it caught in the way you do with a padlock, and all that begs a question Fred didn't even try to answer. With the horror house breakers switched off, how could that car have gone rolling in the first place? As for what happened next, here's how a trip through horror house ended. on the far side of the torture chamber, just when you thought the riot was over and your guard was down, a screaming skeleton, Nick, nicknamed Hager the Horrible by the Greenies, came flying at you, seemingly on a collision course with your car. When it pulled away, you saw a stone and a wall dead ahead, painted painted there in fluorescent green was a rotting zombie and a gravestone with end of the line printed on it. Of course, the stone wall split open just in time, but that final double punch was extremely effective when the car emerged into the daylight, making a semicircle before going back and through another set of double doors and stopping. Even grown men were often screaming their heads off. Those final shrieks, always accompanied by gales of "Oh shit, you got me" laughter, were horror houses' best advertisement. There were no screams that day. Of course not, because when the double doors banged open, the car that emerged was empty. It rolled through the semicircle, bumped lightly against the next set of double doors, and stopped. "Okay," Mike said. It was a whisper so low that I barely heard it, and I'm sure Annie didn't, and all her attention had been drawn to the car. The kid was smiling. What would what made it do that? Annie asked. "I don't know," I said. "Short circuit maybe, or some kind of power surge." Both of those explanations sounded good as long as you didn't know the breakers being off. As long as you didn't know about the breakers being off. I stood on my tiptoes and peered into the stalled car. The So what's going on in our house? Was so the locks on the horror house got unhooked, I guess. That's it. It's the word unhooked or unlocked. I don't know. First thing I noticed was that the safety bar was up. If Eddie Parks or one of his greenie minions forgot to lower it, the bar was supposed to snap down automatically once the ride was in motion. It was a state mandated safety feature. The bar being up on this 1 minute goofy kind of sense. The Since the only rides in the park that had power that morning were the ones Lane and Fred had turned on from Mike, I spotted something beneath the semicircular seat, something as real as the roses Fred had given Annie, only not red. It was a blue Alice band. We headed back to the van. Milo, once more on best behavior, padded along beside Mike's wheelchair. I'll be back as soon as I get home. I'll be back as soon as I get them home, I told Fred. Put in some extra hours. He shook his head. You're 86 for today. Go to bed early. Get to bed early and be here tomorrow at 6. Pack a couple of extra sandwiches because we'll all be working late. Turns out that storm's moving a little faster than the weather forecasters expected. Annie looked alarmed. Should I pack some stuff and take Mike to town? Do you think? I'd hate to. I hate to when he's so tired. But check the radio check the radio this evening. Fred advised. If NOAA NOAA issues coastal evacuation order, you'll hear it in plenty of time. But I don't think that will happen. This is just going to be your basic cap of wind. I'm a little worried about the high rise, that's all. The thunderbolt, the shaker, and the spin, they'll be okay, Lane said. They stood up to Agnes last year, and that was bona fide hurricane. Does this storm have a name? Mike asked. They're calling it Gilda, Lane said, but it's no hurricane, just a little old subtropical depression, Fred said. Winds are supposed to start picking up around midnight. and the heavy rain will start an hour or two later. Lane's probably right about the big rise, but it's still going to be a busy day. Have you got a slicker, Dev? Sure. You want to hear it. You want to wear it. The weather forecast we heard on WKLM as we left the park eased Annie's mind. The winds generated by Gilda were expected to top 30 miles an hour with occasionally higher gusts. There might be some beach erosion and minor flooding inland, but that was about it. The DJ called it great kite flying weather, which made us all laugh. We had a we had a history now, and that was nice. Mike was almost asleep by the time we arrived back at the big Victorian on Beach Road. I lifted him into his wheelchair. It wasn't much of a chore. I'd put on muscle in the last 4 months, and with those horrible braces off, he couldn't have weighed 70 pounds. Milo once more paced at the chair as I rolled it up the ramp and into the house. Mike needed the toilet, but when his mother tried to take over the wheelchair handles, Mike asked if I'd do it instead. I rolled him into the bathroom, helped him to stand, and eased down his elastic waisted pants while he held onto the grab bars. I hated when she has to help me. I feel like I feel like a baby. How old is Mike anyway? He's like what, 10? 10 years old? 8, 10 years old? Maybe, but he pissed with the healthy kid's vigor. Then, as he leaned forward to push the flush handle, he staggered and almost took a header into the toilet bowl. I had to catch him. Thanks, Dev. I already washed my hair once today. That made me laugh, and Mike grinned. I wish we were going to have a hurricane. That'd be boss. You might not think so. If it happened, I was remembering Hurricane Doria 2 years before. It hit New Hampshire and Maine, packing 90-mile-an-hour winds, knocking down trees all over Portsmouth, Kittery, Sanford, and the Berwigs. One big old pine just missed our house. Our basement flooded, and the power had been out for days. I wouldn't want stuff to fall down at the park. I guess that's just about the best place in the world that I've ever been. Anyway, good. Hold on, kid. Hold on, kid. Let me get your pants back up. Can't have you mooning your mother. That made him laugh again. Only the laughter turned to coughing. Annie took over when we came out, rolling him down the hall to the bedroom. Don't you sneak out on me, Devin, she called back over her shoulder. Since I had the afternoon off, I had no intention of sneaking out on her if she wanted me to stay a while. I strolled the parlor, looking at things that were probably expensive but not terribly interesting. Not to a young man of 21 anyway. A huge picture window, almost wall to wall, saved what would otherwise have been a gloomy room, flooding it with light. The window looked out on the back patio, the boardwalk, and the ocean. I could see the first clouds feathering in from the southeast, but the sky overhead was still bright blue. I remember thinking that I'd made it to the big house after all, although I'd probably never have a chance to count all the bathrooms. I remember thinking about the Alice band and wondering if Lane could see it when he put the wayward car back under cover. What else was I thinking? That I had seen a ghost after all, just not of a person. Annie came back. He wants to see you, but don't stay long, okay? Third door on the right. I went down the hall, knocked lightly, and let myself in. Once you got past the grab bars, the oxygen tanks in the corner, and the leg braces standing at steely attention beside the bed. It could have been any boy's room. There was no baseball glove and no skateboard propped against the wall, but there were posters of Mark Spitz and the Miami Dolphins. There was no baseball glove and no skateboard propped against the wall, but there were posters of Mark Spitz and Miami Dolphins running back Larry